Itachi Uchiha versus Pain. Who wins between these two powerful Akatsuki members if they were to fight in a full-scale battle? Well, that's the battle I have for y'all today. Like, share, and subscribe, as well as comment down below on any thoughts you'll have about this video. Now, before I jump right into the video, I'm just going to state that I'm obviously using all 6 paths of pain, and I'm going to be using a healthy and alive Itachi for the battle. But now, getting right into the video, the most obvious thing I must state is that Itachi scales above all other paths of pain when it comes to taijutsu in every way, and that means it's strength, speed, and hand-to-hand combat skill. The reason why I believe that is because an Edo Itachi can keep up with the strength, speed, and hand-to-hand combat skill of a KCM1 Naruto, who is much more powerful than a Sage Mode Naruto, who is somewhat relative to the path of pain. Given that the Edo bodies are not brought back at a full level of power, it means that a healthy and alive Itachi would be more powerful than an Edo Itachi, and so would mean that he really far outscales the paths of pain in terms of taijutsu. Now, I do believe the paths of pain are still strong enough to hold their own against him, given that on the regular they can hold down characters with Sage Mode, drastically hurt characters with Sage Mode, or just blatantly stop attacks from Sage Mode characters, and so many other things. And then there's obviously the Diva path, and can hold his own against a 6-tailed Naruto, which is obviously quite insane and proves him to be insanely powerful. But nevertheless, Itachi should scale above him and all the other paths of pain in all aspects of taijutsu. Then when it comes to durability, I think it's fair to put them relative to one another. Itachi hasn't always shown the best durability feats. He isn't really known to be that durable on the regular, but he is quite durable, obviously. And though the paths of pain don't all show that high levels of durability, with some of them being taken out by fairly weak attacks, at other times they do tank powerful attacks, and we know that the Diva path can consistently tank attacks from a 6-tailed Naruto, which is absolutely insane. And so I think relativity in terms of durability here is fine. Then there's obviously the aspect of full straight out power. Now, I do believe the paths of pain far outscale many or most or just all of the other Akatsuki members when it comes to raw power, with them possessing the massive Shinra Tensei, which can take out an entire village, as well as possessing Jubaku Tensei, which can more or less defeat any characters, and obviously they have quite a lot of other abilities on the regular which are quite powerful. Now, I think their raw power is far greater than that of Itachi, but Itachi has quite a lot of one-shot wins against the paths of pain, but also obviously the paths of pain have one-shot wins against him, with him being able to steal his soul and of course trap him in the Jubaku Tensei. Now, the Shinra Tensei, the massive Shinra Tensei, might not be able to actually take out Itachi, given that he is quite durable, and Shinra Tenseis on the regular were not able to just take out someone like Kakashi. The Master Shinra Tensei would be a massive problem for Itachi, but he can just pull up the Susanoo, which would be able to block and decrease the amount of damage the Master Shinra Tensei actually has on him. But obviously there is the Jubaku Tensei and the Soul Stealing, which can more or less nullify Itachi. Now, obviously on the other hand, Itachi does have Amaterasu and has the Totsuka Blade. Now, there are certain things that we're not really sure of this battle. Like, for instance, you could say that Genjutsu actually works against Pain, or the Tsukuyomi would actually work against Pain, which would mean that Itachi kind of wins this battle if Pain looks him in the eyes, obviously, but that's not an absolute certainty. And personally, I don't think the Tsukuyomi or Visual Genjutsu works against the paths of pain because of their eyes, and especially since they fight in numbers, which means they can always break each other out of general Genjutsu. And Tsukuyomi, it's a bit tricky to figure out if Tsukuyomi actually works, but I don't think it would work against the paths of pain. Then obviously Amaterasu can be discarded with the Shinra Tensei, as well as the Predator Path's ability to absorb ninjutsu. Then obviously there is the Totsuka Blade, which would obviously be able to cut through any of the paths of pain as well as seal them away. And the Madatamas also are quite powerful. Now, I do think Itachi has quite a few attacks that could cause a massive problem for the paths of pain, but the paths of pain also have quite a few counters against Itachi's attack, and they still have more raw power than Itachi. So in terms of raw power, I will give it to Pain. Now, who actually wins this battle if these two powerful characters were to face off in a full-scale battle?
Well, it is a bit tricky for me, completely honest. The reason I'm saying that is because if you were to ask me who I think is more powerful between the two, I'd easily say Pain. The reason why I believe that to be so is because he not only has more raw power than Itachi, but he also has many counters for a lot of Itachi's attacks, like for instance the Amaterasu, which is kind of Itachi's one-shot win, and it can just be negated either by the Predator Path or the Diva Path, which is kind of pointless. And then most of the attacks that Itachi can send their way can either be absorbed by the Predator Path or blocked by the Diva Path. also negating majority of them. Tsukuyomi or Genjutsu would not work against someone with such high visual prowess, since those are the eyes of Madara, and he is fighting a lot of people at the same time. So that would only really leave the Totsuka Blade, which is the only real thing Itachi has to annihilate any of the paths of pain. Pain, on the other hand, he does have the ability to not only steal Itachi's soul, but he can also obviously use the Chubaku Tensei, which Itachi has no counter for. So he has two abilities that are one-shot wins against Itachi, while Itachi only has one, which will more certainly land against Pain. And again, Pain has more raw power than Itachi. So if you were to ask me who's more powerful, I would lean towards Pain being more powerful. But if you were to ask me who'd win in a fight, weirdly enough, I'd lean towards Itachi. The reason why I'm saying that is because Itachi has a lot more on his side. And I'm not just talking about his physical attributes, his Taijutsu, which far outscales all of the paths of pain. Given that Naruto could one-shot a couple of the paths of pain with a Sage Mode, and Itachi would scale far above that in his alive and healthy state, he should be able to one-shot quite a few of the paths of pain, and he is quite fast as well, so he should be doing it much faster, much more easily. And on top of that, he has his superior intellect, which is a big aspect of this battle, and it would actually determine how the battle goes, because he was able to figure out a lot of Naruto's weaknesses and abilities very quickly because of his intellect. But weirdly enough, that's not the only reason why, those are not the only reasons why I believe Itachi has a high chance of actually beating Pain. It's also the hacks he has, because he has a lot of different jutsus and abilities, and obviously he has the Amaterasu and the Totsuka Blade, which are one-shot wins obviously, and they are quite powerful. Now, given that Sage Mode Naruto was able to take out majority of the paths of pain, I don't think it's much of a stretch to say Itachi in his superior state, in his healthy and alive state with superior Taijutsu and more abilities, would be able to do the same thing, probably even quicker because of his intellect. He'd probably just be left with the Diva Path alone, and the Diva Path might be able to use a massive Shinra Tensei to actually go against Itachi, but weirdly enough that would be a big disadvantage for him, because Itachi can then pull out the Yarama Mirror, which would be able to block and negate the massive Shinra Tensei. And obviously the general Shinra Tenseis won't be much of a problem against Itachi, because many characters can tank them, like Kakashi for instance, and Itachi is very durable and has a lot of jutsus to evade that. And Pain probably wouldn't use massive Shinra Tenseis whilst the other paths of Pain are close by, so we'd have to either wait for them to go far away, I guess, or just die before he can use a massive Shinra Tensei. And if he does, again, Itachi negates it. I also don't think the paths of pain will be able to absorb Itachi's Susanoo or steal his soul whilst he's within the Susanoo and using the Yarama Mirror, because Itachi would probably just kill them easily, and he'd probably just kill any of the other paths of pain that are still remaining after massive Shinra Tensei is perhaps used. But it's quite unlikely that there'd even be any of the paths of pain still alive at that point. And at that point, Itachi just left alone with the Tendo, which is quite unfair, because I mean Tendo is fast and durable and everything, but Itachi is faster and more powerful, and he does have the Amaterasu, which would work at this point against Tendo Pain, since he doesn't have any of his abilities. And if the Amaterasu lands, which it probably will, it immediately means Itachi would win the fight. Maybe you could make an argument that Pain is able to stall long enough to use the Chubaku Tensei or something like that. And if that is used, obviously if the Chubaku Tensei is used, it instantly goes to Pain. I mean, even if it used earlier on, because perhaps Pain acknowledges how dangerous Itachi is, just like Kabuto did, and immediately uses the Chubaku Tensei, then the fight immediately goes to Pain. But if he does not use the Chubaku Tensei, then is a much higher chance that Itachi is actually able to get to the point where he's just left alone with Tendo, and Tendo is not really as powerful as Itachi, especially with Itachi having the Amaterasu. And if he lands the Amaterasu, then it's kind of a win for Itachi at that point. And even if he doesn't land an Amaterasu and perhaps uses the Totsuka Blade, he can still win. But obviously this battle is really situational and is highly dependent on intellect, but I think Itachi is smarter and also is quite good at adapting. But again, it is situational, and you could always make an argument for Pain winning the battle, especially with his Chubaku Tensei and other one-shot wins he has. But I think Itachi has a higher chance of weirdly taking out all of the paths of pain and then taking out Tendo in that little gap where he has no abilities, and actually ultimately winning the fight, especially if Chubaku Tensei is not used. But yeah, I mean, again, you can always make an argument for Pain, but personally I believe Itachi could win a fight against Pain, but Pain is still more powerful than Itachi. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are going to have a lot of comments and thoughts about this, I know, but this battle is a really close one. It's a really tricky one, and I just personally believe, based on what I've seen, that Itachi should win it. Now, anyway, if you have any of those comments or thoughts about this video, you can leave them down below. I'd love to see them. This is MC Info with another MC Clash. I'm out.